From KMOV, News 4 is covering breaking news.
I love y'all. Love y'all with Super Mark.
With the world watching, is this the voice of calm? A man born and raised in Ferguson, now a captain. Captain Ron Johnson with the Missouri Highway Patrol tapped to secure the streets and restore the peace.
Captain Ron Johnson walking in that peaceful demonstration in Ferguson. There was also a protest tonight downtown. Demonstrators were on the move back and forth from the Arch to Bush Stadium. A heavy police presence tonight. These are scenes we have not yet seen in downtown St. Louis until tonight.
And more of a crowd outside Bush Stadium, something, as Steve said, that we are just now seeing. That crowd outside the Cards game. Many of these same protesters were at the Arch for a moment of silence earlier in the night.
And there is outcry in other cities across the country, too. New York's Times Square shut down by 3,000 protesters demanding change in the name of Michael Brown.
Justice, no peace. No racist, no peace.
And to downtown Chicago, where demonstrators are standing with the people of Ferguson, too. This video from the Windy City. Many people shared video of the demonstration on Vine and several other social networking sites. Growing support from around the country as momentum for change continues to build.
And as we take a live look at Ferguson right now, where it all began, there is a major development to report. The name of the officer involved in the shooting death of Michael Brown is expected to be released tomorrow. Late tonight, News 4 confirming as much from our source connected to the investigation. An official announcement expected in the coming hours, but we have to caution, according to our source, there could be a reversal based on any unrest tonight. A vow today by Missouri Governor Jay Nixon for police to have a softer stance. Missouri State Highway Patrol is now in charge of security at the protest.
But the big question tonight, are these changes working? News 4's Corey Stark live in Ferguson right now. And Corey, you were the only local reporter right there when the new captain in charge talked directly to protesters for the first time.
Yeah, Sharon, that's right. Now, as you can see, it's a very drastic, different scene tonight than last night. Of course, last night we talked about tear gas being dispersed by police lines. Tonight, it's entirely different. You have cars driving up and down West Florissant as they are peacefully protesting tonight, and it is a big, big difference again from last night. Now, as you mentioned, Captain Ron Johnson with the Missouri State Highway Patrol is the person now in charge. He's from Ferguson, and immediately he was well received by the folks here. He led a peaceful protest earlier today. The biggest change Thursday, a changing of the guard. Captain Ron Johnson with the Missouri State Highway Patrol is now in command. We were there when he addressed hundreds of protesters.
Say what you got to say, and just do it in peace. Just do it in peace. Because I know there's frustration out here, but I can tell you there's frustration in my home. What do we want? Justice!
Johnson, along with St. Louis County police leaders, led the march down West Florissant Avenue. It was a much different scene than previous days when SWAT teams in full tactical gear built up more anger.
I think they had to come in with a more peaceful tactic. They don't need to flex the gun.
During the march of hundreds, there was no police line and a sense of trust toward Captain Johnson and his softer approach.
He's connected. He's connected to us, and we were happy.
We're a community, and we're all a part of that community, and we're all in it together. And that this isn't a black and white issue.
And maybe the most profound message from Johnson's initial meeting with protesters, this.
I love y'all. Love y'all with Super Mark.
And I asked Captain Johnson what that meant when he heard that crowd respond, "We love you too." He says it just means we have a lot of good people here, and he hopes that continues. One other thing that we have seen is there was another protest or another march that was led by Captain Johnson, but also there was St. Louis County Chief John Belmar. He was also a part of that march, and it was, again, a very peaceful march. We're live in Ferguson. Corey Stark, News 4.
And now to those demonstrators right outside the News 4 studios. It was advertised as a peaceful moment of silence outside the Arch. Chris Stanford, this is the first time these protesters organized in the city of St. Louis.
That's right, and in fact, we saw a lot of people down here because no one knew just exactly how many demonstrators would be downtown tonight. including St. Louis Police Chief Sam Dotson. And although it was a rather large crowd, we saw police officers keep their distance.
St. Louis police looked on as the crowd downtown at the Gateway Arch raised their hands in silence for Michael Brown.
We've had time to express our outrage. We've had time to express hurt and pain and anger, but I don't think we've really mourned the losses here.
Organized on social media, the National Moment of Silence brought the protest into the city, drawing a diverse crowd.
It's just not African American people in Ferguson that is upset about what's going on. It's people of all color, all walks of life.
That people can raise their voices in dissent, people can be angry, but that is not an illegal act in the United States of America.
After a week of protesters and police in riot gear clashing in North County, St. Louis police stayed back.
They have to come with the right mindset that we're here to protect the rights of everybody. Whether we like the message or not, doesn't matter. We're here to protect everyone's rights.
Chief Sam Dotson said he met with organizers beforehand. He also walked among the crowd.
There's only one person that's human.
An organizer told us she felt it was her responsibility to keep things under control.
I do feel a sense of responsibility, and everything that I've put out there on Twitter and on Facebook, because this is completely through social media that I've been able to get the word out, has been a word of togetherness and a word of peace.
There were many extra police officers, not only here down by the Arch, but also down at the stadium tonight, and I'm told by St. Louis police that there were no incidents and no arrests. Live downtown, Chris Stanford, News 4.
Missouri Governor Jay Nixon is getting skewered by national media. The Political's headline, The Late Show with Jay Nixon, as in he's late to react to what's been happening in North County the past several nights. A Missouri state senator who represents the Ferguson area is also sending a strong message to Governor Nixon. Maria Chappelle-Nadal sent out a tweet that reads, quote, Governor Jay Nixon, you don't know expletive because you never communicate. Expletive you, Governor. And that ends the tweet. Nadal represents parts of 41 municipalities, including Ferguson, and says she is beyond frustrated with what's occurred.
This is Governor Nixon's Katrina.
Meaning?
He never showed up. President Bush never showed up, and Governor Nixon didn't show up until the 6th day, today.
Nadal says she wants Governor Jay Nixon to be a leader who is among the people, and she pledges to stay with the young demonstrators until the protest ends. Steve?
Well, as the protests continue, the crowds in Florissant are growing as more and more people come into Ferguson, come into Ferguson from surrounding towns and even out of state. Matt Cesney was out among the protesters to find out where they came from and why they want to be here.
Steve, it's surprising where everyone's coming from. You know, earlier this week there had been concern about people from outside Ferguson coming in and causing trouble, but it's a different story, it seems, so far tonight, with people coming from very far away just to be a part of this. The crowds along West Florissant were still filled with Ferguson residents, but there was also plenty of company from around the country.
I'm from St. Louis originally. I live in Florida now.
I'm from Federal Way, Washington. Right next door to Seattle, and I seen it on the news, came out here.
A lot of people from not only the metropolitan area, but from out of state have been coming in. People have been tweeting me and trying to find out what they can do, how they can get here, and it's, like I said, I'm loving every bit of this right now.
And there were so many others. A Marine who drove from Jacksonville, Illinois, an aspiring music artist from Chicago. Even larger numbers are pouring in from around the St. Louis area, feeling a strong connection to the family of Mike Brown.
And I live in South City. I have 6 boys myself, so I understand how his mother feels.
I actually live in Florissant, and we came today to support the St. Louis clergy and the young leaders in the community.
Not all of it seems welcome. St. Louis County's police chief told me this week some outsiders coming into Ferguson he believes are here for trouble.
Many of them we find are not from the area. They're not from Ferguson. They're not even from near Ferguson. So they're coming in, they're typically young people, and they're coming in and they find that they find some sort of value in this.
So far, the lack of confrontation by police seems to be keeping everyone calm. We're along West Florissant, up closer to Chambers, and so far the only thing we see here is a lot of cars, beeping horns, and we're seeing a lot of smiling faces. We're live in Ferguson. Matt Cesney, News 4.
Apparently, President Obama has seen enough. Riots, tear gas, police provoked. Today, the president addressed it all.
There is never an excuse for violence against police or for those who would use this tragedy as a cover for vandalism or looting. There's also no excuse for police to use excessive force against peaceful protests or to throw protesters in jail for lawfully exercising their First Amendment rights.
The president also spoke against the arrest of several journalists covering this story so Americans can see what's happening on the ground in Ferguson. Last night, a Washington Post and Huffington Post reporter both arrested, jailed in Ferguson, and released late last night. Now, Attorney General Eric Holder says he is concerned about the use of military equipment by police over the past few nights. Holder says the movement of armored vehicles and police dressed in heavy gear sends a conflicting message. He wants law enforcement to reduce tension, not heighten it.
We spoke with Mr. Holder. Mr. Holder, as well as President Obama, expressed their condolences through Eric Holder, and we had the conversation. They let us know that the federal department was going to be coming in and watching and have an eye on everything that was going on in the investigation. It did give us some solace because at the present time we have no trust in the Ferguson Police Department because there was no transparency.
The FBI and Justice Department are in the middle of a civil rights investigation into Mike Brown's death.
And you can hear the horns honking and the chants going tonight here in Ferguson. We're in the thick of it all, but some residents are tired of the activity. Coming up, you'll hear their first-hand account as to why they want all this to stop.
This is News 4 at 10.
Take a look at this video. These are aerials from Times Square in New York City. An estimated 3,000 turned out in support of Michael Brown, his family, and the city of Ferguson demanding justice. More video like this from across the country coming in, showing support and solidarity for the Brown family in Ferguson.
Yeah, that was video from Oakland, San Francisco area right now. And tonight we can tell you that folks are gathering in cities across the area. The crowd of people showing solidarity for people in Ferguson. It's all part of a national movement that we began showing you. It is building tonight. Now, there are many in Ferguson who we are talking to who tell us they are the most forgotten during tense times like the past few nights.
Yeah, some have been exposed to tear gas and shouting protesters even though they want no part of it. Julian Johnson sat down with some of them. Julian, how are they dealing with it?
Well, some people told me they were afraid that their house would burn down. Others say they couldn't even go outside to walk their dog because of tear gas. And as you can see from all the activity out here, the one thing that these people share is that they want all this activity, all this honking, all this chanting to stop. They're sounds we've almost become accustomed to hearing over the 5 days since 18-year-old Michael Brown's death.
I never even seen the whole community out here until this happened. You will never even see everybody that's out here now out here.
But talk to residents like Bianca Huff who live in Canfield Green Apartments where Brown was killed, and she'll tell you it's time for the demonstrations to end, especially with her 3-year-old son asking questions.
Is this the boy that passed, and is this the police that did this? And I answer it like, yeah, but you know, you don't understand really too much of what's going on.
I'm a veteran, so I thought we were at war.
Fannie Powell Davis lives only a few yards from where enraged protesters burned a QT convenience store Sunday night, and where just last night officers set off flares and tear gas.
I had to pick up some stuff from my yard, and they way over there shooting. I was surprised that one of these houses didn't get caught on fire, you know, because it was just like Beirut or somewhere.
Neighbors say protesters run across their yards and closed roads make it difficult to get home. Today, marches had a more peaceful tone, hands up, don't shoot, but were no less noisy. Residents now just looking for peace of mind.
Not able to get things done in the run of a day with all the to and from, but we deal with it. We accept it.
Ceasefire! We want that! Ceasefire!
So with police taking a more laid-back approach, you can see just how hectic things are tonight, we're still seeing exactly if that laid-back approach will also mean less violence. Tonight we are live in Ferguson. Julian Johnson, News 4.
And those protesters over the past few days on the streets of Ferguson say they are pushing for justice and a lasting change. But those protests may have some unintended consequences on the future of the community. I went out this afternoon to find out how the clashes with police are impacting the children of Ferguson.
I was crying.
5-year-old London Hawkins lives close enough to the protest she can hear it at night.
They was fighting last night. And then I missed school. She cried all night.
She's sad because she's missed her first day of kindergarten and she's not alone.
I'm kind of scared because it could get close to home.
What do you hear at night?
Yelling, screaming. It's like, sound like gunshots.
Well, you're supposed to be in school.
Yes, I wanted to go to school today, but they canceled it because of the riot. And I think they should stop the riot stuff because it's messing up the kids' education.
The big noise is scary.
7-year-old Jamira Bender has heard it too.
Every night she's sleeping with me the past couple days, and when she hear a boom, it's, Mommy, they getting close.
Lakeisha Bender says she's doing all she can to help her children cope. She and the other parents we talked to are reassuring their kids.
I'm telling my children that this too shall pass. We as a community gonna get through this.
And it's not just the younger children feeling the impact of the protest.
The riot and everything, no, I was a little scared when it was going on.
16-year-old James Dixon hopes it will all end soon.
I would like to see peace in my community. And, you know, everybody get together in the community and everything. That's all, just peace.
I should tell you, most of the children we talked to today admitted they are a little scared by all of the protesting, but they are more upset at missing the first day of school.
Another live look at Florissant. Finally, a peaceful night, loud but peaceful. We haven't seen any signs that we've seen in recent days, including armored vehicles and tear gas canisters.
Yeah, none of that. No military-style weapons. Captain Ron Johnson with the Missouri Highway Patrol now overseeing security in this area. And so far, there's been some wildness, but nothing violent that we've seen. We'll continue to monitor the situation.
Meanwhile, Metrolink is shut down in both directions just west of Grand in Midtown St. Louis after a pedestrian was hit by a Metro train.
That person who was hit is still alive, we've learned. Of course, we'll be tracking this story for News 4 this morning beginning at 4:30 a.m.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.